Welcome back, my dear students. Today we are going to learn and revise the remaining portions from the business studies. The last 6 chapters we are going to revise today. Don't forget to watch the entire video. You will get definitely a best benefit from the video for the board exams. So let us begin the revision second part in business studies. Don't forget to watch the complete video. You will get 100% score. And today's chapter is directing. Another important weightage we have to give for this chapter. The meaning of the term directing. It is the process of giving instructions and direction for the workers to achieve the organizational goals. Remember, and a very important thing in this chapter, four elements are there. Before that, we have to learn about the different characteristics of directing, and it includes, it initiates action, it takes place at every level of management, it is a continuous process, it flows from top to bottom. Remember all these important points which shows the characteristics of directing. And some important areas are there, like principles of directing. The important principles in directing are maximum individual contribution, harmony of objective, unity of command, appropriateness of direction techniques, managerial communication, use of informal organization, leadership, follow through. All these principles are very prominent in directing. And the four elements of directing are supervision, motivation, leadership, and communication. We have to learn in detail what are these four elements. First of all, what is supervision? Supervision is the process of overseeing the worker's performance, evaluating the worker's performance through close and indirect supervision or observation. Remember, another element is motivation, providing maximum inspiration, inspiring the employees to bring their maximum for the performance in an organization. That is motivation. And don't forget to remember the importance of motivation. It helps to improve the performance of the employees. It helps in changing negative attitudes of the workers. It helps to reduce the employees' turnover and absenteeism in the organization. It helps to introduce new changes that managers want to introduce in the organization. So remember all these points which shows the importance of motivation. And another important area is Maslow's need hierarchy theory. According to Abraham H. Maslow, 5 needs are there for a human being. It will begin with the physiological needs, second on safety needs, belongingness and love needs, esteem needs, and the last on self-actualization needs. It is the last need, highest level of need in the need hierarchy, that is self-actualization needs. Please learn the details regarding the whole different 5 categories of needs put forward by Abraham H. Maslow. And another important area, the different incentives given to the workers for their motivation, that is financial and non-financial incentives. It includes first financial incentives. Incentives are the measures adopted by the organization for motivating the workers, improving their performance to achieve organizational goals. So financial incentives includes pay and allowance, means providing good salary, productivity linkaged wage schemes, bonuses, providing bonuses, sharing profit with the workers, co-partnership, and retirement benefits provided by the organization, perquisites. Among all these, they are providing some additional facilities like loan for workers for house construction. All that comes under perquisites. And non-financial incentives include the categories like providing good status in the organization, organizational climate, career advancement opportunities, job enrichment programs, employee recognition programs, providing good job security, employee participation in decision making, employee empowerment programs. All these will contribute good performance. It will increase the performance of the workers. That is why it comes under incentives. Another element in direction is leadership. whenever there is a good leader, the organization can work effectively and can achieve the objectives very effectively and efficiently under a good leader. So that is why it is also an element in direction. The importance of leadership can be identified from these points. Leadership influences the behavior of workers. Leadership plays a key role in introducing required changes, and a leader should maintain a good personal relationship, and a leader can handle the conflicts very easily. Leader can provide training to the workers under his controlled situation in the organization. So that is why importance, and the qualities of a good leader include physical features, good knowledge, integrity, initiative, communication skills, motivation skills, self-confidence, decisiveness, and social skills. All these things are very essential for a good leader. And another point we have to remember from this area leadership is the different styles of leadership. Three different styles of leadership is there: autocratic or authoritarian leader, democratic or participative leader, laissez-faire or free rein leader. Please remember these three categories. Try to create and find out examples for all these type of leaders from your mind and by reading the textbook. And another important element in directing is the last one is what communication. It includes, you know very well the meaning of the term communication. It includes sharing of ideas, informations between two parties. And this picture will show what is communication process. There will be one sender who encodes, creates the message, or that means encodes, and passing through the channel, it will receive by the receiver. He will send the feedback after decoding the message to the receiver sender. Then only the process will complete. It is a cycle, it is a continuous process which is very important in an organization. So the importance of communication includes it acts as a basis of coordination. It helps in the smooth working of an enterprise. It acts as a base for decision making. It increases the managerial efficiency of the organization, promotes good cooperation and industrial peace in the organization. It establishes effective leadership, and it always boosts the morale of workers and provides motivation to the employees. So remember all these points related to importance of motivation, importance of communication, and last area from this chapter is formal and informal communication. You know very well, formal communication passes through the official channels, and that may be from the top to bottom, and informal communication is created out of the informal talks between the superior and the subordinates. Remember all these things related to the chapter directing. It's very important. My dear students, we are moving to the next chapter, that is controlling. You know very well the meaning of the term controlling. We can expect 6 or 4 mark question from this area. And the controlling is the last process or function in management. It helps to bring effective performance by curtailing and controlling, limiting the unnecessary factors related to workers' performance. So remember, it is the process of ensuring that actual activities are done as per the plans, and ensuring the plans are held by the workers as per the decisions of the top management, and if there is any variation, they are taking the corrective action. That is controlling. And remember these points related to importance of controlling. First one is it helps in accomplishing organizational goals, and it helps for judging the accuracy of standards set by the management, and it helps for the making efficient use of maximum utilization of all the resources, men, material and money, and improving employees motivation and performance is also possible through controlling, ensuring order and discipline, proper order for everything and discipline from the part of the behavior of workers possible through controlling, and it helps to facilitate for coordination of all the efforts, activities of different peoples in different departments is possible through controlling. Remember all these points which shows the importance of controlling. And next we are moving to the different areas which shows limitations of controlling. Some points are there which shows the limitations of controlling. One is difficult in setting quantitative standards. Every time the comparison is based on standards, it is not possible to set quantitative standards because the performance will vary depending upon the situation. Another point is little control over the external factors of the organization, and resistance from the part of the employee is another factor for limitation of controlling. Costly, it is costly affair means the controlling, setting controlling and preventive measures taken for controlling the performance. We have to spend a lot of cash. And remember the different steps involved in controlling, very important area from the point of view of exam. First one, setting performance standards, measuring the actual performance, comparison of actual performance with the standards, and analyzing the deviations, taking corrective actions. Remember, all these points are very important, and you can expect 6-mark question or 4-mark question from this area. Don't forget to remember all that points. Next, we are moving to financial management. The management which plays a very prominent role in the entire business organization. Financial management. You know, funds or finance is the lifeblood of the organization. Managing the whole activities related to finance is known as financial management. Managing the different activities, collecting sources from the effective way and utilizing the fund in an effective manner, that is financial management. And remember, the financial decisions are helping for the effective management of funds coming into the organization. They are financing decision, investment decision, and dividend decision. These three decisions help the management for taking effective decision, financial planning in the organization. And moving to the next area, investment decision is the first concept. You know, it shows where we have to invest, in which fixed asset we have to invest more. That is investment decision. Remember, in which asset we have to, especially fixed asset, we have to invest more. It is also known as capital budgeting decision. It is also known as capital budgeting decision. So it is related to how the firm invests in fixed assets, and the different factors to be considered while taking the investment decision are the cash flow position of the organization, the rate of return of the organization, and the investment criteria involved in the organization. Please remember all these points, very important. Every time, sometimes they will ask only the factors related to each decision. And financing decision includes the decision related to from which source we can raise fund, from which source we can raise fund effectively and utilizing that fund in a successful manner. That is financial decision. There are also certain points we have to consider. The factors influencing financing decision includes the cost of raising funds, risk associated with each sources of funds, and the flotation cost, the amount spent for raising funds, and cash flow position of the company, fixed operating cost of the organization, and the different control considerations set by the organization, and the state of capital market to raise funds. Especially, we have to consider what is the trend of capital market while raising fund through the issue of share or debenture. So remember all these factors, very important factors are there. We have to give much consideration for all these factors related to financing decision. And the next decision is dividend decision. Dividend decision includes there will be every year some amount of profit or loss, and whenever the company have profit, they will declare, the board of directors will conduct a meeting and declare the amount of dividend. And this decision is related to what is the amount to be distributed as dividend to the shareholders. That is dividend decision. How much amount will be distributed as dividend to the shareholders. And the different factors we have to consider while issuing dividend are the amount of earnings or profit of the organization, the stability of earnings. Stability means how much we are getting every year. If we are getting consistent amount and more amount of profit, we can issue or distribute dividend. If we are not stable, we are not getting stable earnings, no need to consider the issue of dividend. And another factor, stability of dividends and growth opportunity of the organization, cash flow position of the organization, and the shareholders' preference. Remember all these points related to factors affecting dividend decision. Very important areas are there. And another thing we have to consider the taxation policies of the government, stock market reactions, access to capital market, legal constraints. We have to consider all these points also while declaring the dividend. Contractual constraints also we have to consider while declaring dividend to the shareholders. Very important area. So based on all these decisions, we are conducting the financial planning. Already we have learned what is planning. Here we are predicting the future and collecting the funds from different sources and planning it for the effective utilization of the fund. From which source we have to collect and how to utilize these funds are coming under financial planning. Remember the meaning of the term financial planning. And capital structure is another concept included in the chapter financial management. It shows the structure or the combination or the mix of owners fund and borrowed fund. Owners fund you know very well, the fund raised through the issue of shares. Borrowed fund include the fund raised through the issue of debenture, amount collected as bank loan like so. So the combination of all these owners fund and borrowed fund is known as capital structure. So it is very important we have to consider some factors while creating a good capital structure for the organization. The factors are cash flow position of the organization and interest coverage ratio, debt service coverage ratio, return on investment ROI, cost of the debt, tax rate of the government, cost of equity, and remember all these points when we are creating and collecting some funds and creating capital structure, we have to give importance for all these factors. And another important area related to the different factors related to choice of capital structure, some more points are there. The flotation cost for raising funds, risk involved in the raising of funds, flexibility, easiness, control, regulatory framework, stock market conditions. All these factors, including capital structure of other companies, also we have to consider while raising funds from different sources and creating capital structure. So don't forget, lot of factors are there. Try to generate explanation for all these points by yourself. And you know, two type of capital is there. One may be the fund coming into the organization. The organization utilize these funds in two different ways, in fixed capital and as working capital. Fixed capital is utilized for the purchase of fixed asset and it is used for a long-term purpose. It is a long-term investment in the organization. So remember, we have to consider some factors while we are sharing the total fund into fixed capital and as working capital. First of all, we have to think about the factors affecting the requirement of fixed capital. So the different factors are nature of the business, scale of operation of the business, means large scale, small scale and medium scale, and the choice of technique adopted by the organization, technology upgradation by the organization, the different growth prospects of the organization, and the diversification, financial alternatives of the organization, a level of collaboration of this organization. We have to consider all these factors. And also, working capital is, you know very well, it is the difference between current asset and current liability. And the working capital includes all the amount which is utilized for meeting the day-to-day operations of the business. which is utilized for the day-to-day operations of the business. Don't forget some more theories there related to working capital. Here also we have to consider some factors when we are sharing the total capital into working capital. When we are taking some portion of the total capital as working capital based on all these factors like nature of business, scale of operation, business cycle, seasonal factors, production cycle, the credit allowed by the organization. So remember all these points, and some more points are there like credit availed by the organization, operational efficiency of the organization, availability of raw material, growth prospects of the organization, level of competition in the market, and inflation rate also we have to consider. So remember all these important points are related to sharing the amount from the collected money as working capital. So my dear students, this ends the chapter financial management. Remember all the important points related to this chapter. We are moving to the next chapter, financial market. My dear students, moving to the next area, financial market. The 10th chapter, we have to give more importance financial markets. You know very well the concept of financial market, which includes the money market and capital market, stock exchanges, etc. And it is the best place where we can purchase and sell the financial assets of an organization. So that is why it is known as financial market, a market for financial asset. And the functions of financial market include mobilization of the different savings and channelizing them into the most productive uses to get maximum benefit for the parties. And facilitating price discovery means providing best price, fixing the best price for the financial assets. Providing liquidity to financial asset means helping the investors or organizations or the customers to convert it into cash very easily, reducing the cost of transaction, as helping the people who are interested to invest by investing in fruitful ventures with limited cost. All these are functions of financial market, and two important areas are there, money market and capital market. And money market is the place for short-term financial instruments. You know very well, it is a place for short-term financial instruments, and the short-term financial instruments include treasury bills, commercial purpose and call money, commercial certificate of deposit and commercial bill. All these documents are and important financial instruments are bought and sold through the money market for raising short-term finance for meeting the day-to-day operation, maybe for raising working capital of the organization. And another important area we have to consider, second part of the financial market, that is capital market, where we are raising funds for long-term purpose, long-term and medium purpose through the capital market. We are raising the funds through the issue of debenture, shares and public deposit. Through all these ways we are raising the capital market. It includes two parts, primary market and secondary market. Capital market includes two important areas, primary market and secondary market. Remember all that thing. Primary market, it is a place for fresh issue of shares or debentures. Once we are issued all the financial asset in this market, we can issue next time, or the same financial asset can be issued only in the secondary market. So that is why it is known as new issue market. Primary market is a market for issuing financial assets for the first time. And the different methods of issuing the financial assets through the primary market include offer through prospectus, offer for sale, private placement, right issue and initial public offer or electronic initial public offer. All these ways are used for issuing, buying and selling of the financial assets in the primary market. And another thing we have to remember, the second part, secondary market, it is a place for the second-hand securities or financial assets. Second-hand means in the sense Once it is issued in the primary market, then if we want to issue the same financial asset, it can be issued only through the secondary market. It is also known as stock exchange or stock market. So we have to learn more about the concept of stock exchanges. It is a place of second time issuing the financial assets, and we are getting much benefit for raising long-term funds with the support of stock exchanges in all over the India. Around 22 stock exchanges are there. National level recognized 22 stock exchanges are there in India, and it helps for raising the investors for collecting maximum funds. The functions of stock exchange include the different functions of stock exchange include providing liquidity and marketability for the existing securities and helps for fixing the price of the security, safety transaction of the security, contribution for the economic growth of the organization, it spreads equity cult, and also providing scope for limited speculation in the stock exchanges. So these are the functions of stock market, and dematerialization is one of the important modern trend in stock market. You can expect for 3 mark question dematerialization. Normally, the financial assets are in the form of printed documents, but in the digitalized stock exchanges, they need the documents in digital form. So the process of converting the securities or financial assets into digital form, electronic form, is known as dematerialization. It is done with the support of depositories. Depositories, by creating a demat account, we can convert our financial assets into electronic form. That is dematerialization. What is depository? It is like a bank. It is an institution which is registered under SEBI, which help for the purchasing and selling of financial assets. Especially two important organizations are there. SEBI recognized two important organizations are there, NSDL and CDSL. NSDL stands for National Securities Depository Limited, and CDSL stands for Central Depository Service Limited. These organizations help the investors for buying and selling of the financial assets in a smooth way without any losses or risks. So remember the meaning of the term dematerialization and depository, and very important area. Another one is SEBI and its objectives. SEBI stands for Securities Exchange Board of India, one of the important organization which regulates the activities in a stock exchange, and it is mainly created by the Act SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India Act, by the central government to control the entire activities of stock market all over India. So the objectives include to regulate the stock exchanges and the securities industry, to protect the rights and interests of the investors, and also to prevent the malpractices, to regulate and develop a code of conduct to be followed by the members in stock exchanges. So these are the objectives of setting SEBI or Securities Exchange Board of India. They are performing different categories of functions. First one is regulatory functions. Regulatory functions include a registration of brokers, a registration of collective investment schemes and mutual funds, a regulation of stock brokers, portfolio exchanges, underwriters and merchant bankers, a regulation of takeover bids by the companies, levying fee or other charges for the carrying of the purpose of the act. And remember, these are regulatory functions performed by SEBI, and the protective function by SEBI include prohibition of fraudulent activities or unfair trade practices, and controlling the insider trading by the agents, undertaking steps to investor protection, promotion of fair practices and code of conduct in the entire stock market. Remember, these are the protective functions by SEBI. And the developmental functions of Securities Exchange Board of India include training of them, providing proper training for the intermediaries, and conducting research and publishing information useful to all market participants, undertaking measures to develop the capital market by adopting a flexible approach in the market. So remember all these development functions. So these are the areas related to the different concepts in financial markets. We are moving to the very big area, very important area, marketing management. My dear students, moving to the next area, marketing, and another important chapter from business studies, that is marketing. Remember, very important area, we have to give more important weightage for this chapter also. You know the meaning of the term marketing, it includes the exchange of products and services from the production place to the consumer's hands. It includes the movement of goods and services from the place of production to the place of where the consumer is there. So, the management of all activities related to the movement of goods and services from the production place to the place of consumer, that is known as marketing management. Management of all activities through planning, organizing, directing and controlling all the activities related to the exchange of goods and services from the production place to the consumer's hands, that is marketing management. Remember the meaning of the term marketing management. And what is the different functions of marketing? Very important area. The different functions of marketing include gathering and analyzing marketing information through market surveys and market planning, product designing and development, standardization and grading, packaging and labeling. Also, branding is another function of marketing. Few more functions are there. Providing customer support services, pricing of the product means fixing the price, promotion of the product through sales promotion and advertising, physical distribution of the product, transportation of the product, storage or warehousing of the product. All these are functions of marketing. Functions of marketing, remember all the points. And next we are moving to the another area. What is marketing mix? Very important thing. Marketing mix is the combination of 4 P's. P's. 4 P's, that is product, price, promotion and place. Product, price, promotion and place. The combination of all these things or the mix of all these things is known as, in the proper mix of the 4 elements in the market is known as marketing mix. And first P is product. What is the different type of product? What is product? What it may be, we can be used for the final consumption, ultimate consumption, that is product. It may be of 2 categories, consumer products and industrial products. And a lot of classification also there. Please read the whole concept regarding the classification of product from your textbook. Don't forget to read the different classification. Lot of classification is there. It will give you very detailed explanation with the examples. So do it the revision at home. And it is related to product. Branding is related to product. Nowadays people will prefer the most branded items. You know, the brand may be a term or name or a symbol or a sign or a design, whatever it may be attached to the product, maybe in the label or in the package. It will be there as one symbol or a name, as a term, it will be there. Actually, brands are helping the company to differentiate their product with another company's product. It helps to differentiate. Lot of functions are there. You have to remember it very carefully. And registered brands are known as trademark. That means the brands which have legal protection, no other can utilize the same brand. That type of brands are known as trademark, which are registered with the government authorities. That is trademark. So it will give legal protection for the company. So the advantages of brand or trademark include, it enables marking their products differentiation. It helps for the differentiation of one company's product with others, and it helps in advertising and display programs, and differential pricing can be charged for the product, and it helps for the easy introduction of new product in the market. It helps for the product identification for the customers, and it always ensures quality for the quality product for the customers. Brands are an indication of quality product. Next element in product is packaging. You know very well the role of package is very important on to attract the customers for the easy transfer of product from one place to another, for the protection of product from natural calamities. All these things are happening with the support of packaging. Remember all the elements. And the different levels of packaging includes primary package, secondary package, and transportation packaging. You know very well, you have direct experience also regarding all these type of packaging. And the different functions of packaging are product identification, product protection, facilitating use of the product, and product promotion. Also, these are all the important functions. Remember all that points. All these points are related to functions of packaging. And another concept related to product is labeling. Remember, it may be asked for one more question. The sticker or an image which shows the whole details regarding the company and its contents, products, contents, ingredients, expiry date, all the things will be written in a small paper which is affixed on the product or on the package. That is labeling, which gives the whole details regarding the product and its company. And the functions of label will give you more explanation to describe the product and specify its contents. And identification of the product or brand it will be very easy through the label. Grading for of product can be done very easily with different labels. Helps in the promotion of product with the consumers, providing information regarding the different laws to be followed. Social values will be a part of that label. So remember all that thing, functions of labels. And the second P in marketing mix is pricing. Pricing. You know, it is the process of fixing price for the product and the amount to be paid by the buyer for acquiring the ownership of a product. That is price. Remember that. And the price will be fixed by considering the following factors: product cost, the utility and demand, extent of competition in the market, government and legal regulations, pricing objectives, marketing methods used. So based on all that factors, we will fix the price of a product. And another thing is physical distribution. It means actually it is deleted from our topic, but we have to remember in a small sentence what is physical distribution. That means another P in the marketing mix. It shows the physical movement of goods from one place to another with the support of intermediaries like agents, wholesalers, retailers. It shows the physical movement of goods and services from the production place to the consumer's hands. And another important element, last element in the marketing management, marketing mix is promotion mix. Promotion mix, it includes different elements like advertising, sales promotion, then personal selling and publicity. So this combination of all these things are creating what? Promotion mix. Very important things are there. Then we have to think about advertising. It influences our day-to-day life. We can go through the, if we are going through the mobile or internet or any TV channels, the role of advertising is very important because it communicates about the product of a company. It is an impersonal form because instead of a person, this ad in a form of video or image comes to talk with us about the company, about the product. That is advertising. So remember the merits of advertising include mass reach. Mass reach means global level our product will be reached, enhances customer satisfaction and confidences, and also it is expressiveness. It gives the all details regarding the product and economic method of producing or promoting our product. Promoting the product will be very easily. And the objectives of advertising include objections, not objectives, objections. Some people are against advertising because it will add to the cost of the product and sometimes it will undermine the social values and confuses the buyers through negative information also. encourages the sale of low quality products or inferior products, and some advertisements are in bad taste. Sometimes if the childs are watching, that will create negative images in the minds of child. So remember all these points. And personal selling is another technique for increasing the sale of product. There, the seller and buyer meet together. There will be that face-to-face contact between buyer and seller. They are talking very detailed about the product, and the seller will influence the person personally to buy the product. Indirectly compelling one person to buy the product is personal selling. Another element is publicity. Publicity may be in oral way or in written way, which helps to improve the sale of product. It is another form of advertising which helps the sense organs of the which influences the sense organs of the public to buy and sell their product. Publicity have a prominent role in the promotion of a product. So that are the things we have to remember from the uh, chapter that marketing management. Also remember the sales promotion. Sales promotion is another concept in the marketing management area. The activities like rebate, discounts, contests, and scratch and win coupons, all that activities are sales promotional activities which are undertaken for the promotion of the product also. Please remember that points also. I am moving to the last chapter in our business studies. So thank you for your patient listening for my words. Last chapter name is consumer protection. Consumer protection chapter gives details regarding how the consumers are protected, and why it is needed. Consumer protection, why it is needed. That are things given in this chapter. So consumer protection, it have wide area because we have to consider consumers as the key point of the market, because nowadays the consumers ideas needs must be satisfied to get a stable return from the market. So the importance of consumer protection includes from the consumer's point of view why the consumer protection is needed. So some consumers are ignorant. To avoid that ignorance, unorganized consumers protect them, and widespread exploitation of consumers can be eliminated through consumer protection laws. And it is very important from the point of view of the business, because long-term interest of the business is to survive in the market. It will be protect only when the customers are satisfied, and business uses the resources of the society. So that is why we have to satisfy the customers. And also another point, social responsibility. It is the responsibility of the business to be socially responsible. They have to give the best for the consumers, and it is a moral justification towards the consumers. And also government intervention will be there if the consumers are not satisfied. And the legal protection for consumers can be enabled through some acts like Consumer Protection Act 1986, Indian Contract Act 1872, Sale of Goods Act 1930, the Essential Commodities Act 1955, and the Agricultural Produce Grading and Marking Act 1937, the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. Lots more acts are there. Please go through the textbook. And consumer rights, very important area. You have to remember about the right to safety, right to be informed, right to choose, right to be here, right to seek redressal, right to consumer education. All these rights you have to remember in your mind. Very important rights are there. We can expect for formal question and application level question we can expect. And another area we have to consider from this chapter, ways and means of consumer protection. Self-regulation by the business associations can be created for consumers, awareness programs can be conducted, consumer organization can be created to protect them, government have to take the role. So these are the ways and means of consumer protection. And also we have to consider some more important reliefs available. What are the reliefs available for the consumers? To remove the defect in the goods or deficiency in the service, one relief. To replace the defective product, to refund the price paid for the product, to pay a reasonable amount as compensation. And also some more reliefs are there. to pay punitive damages in the appropriate circumstances, to discontinue the unfair and restrictive trade practices, not to offer hazardous goods for sale. All these things. Also to withdraw that type of hazardous goods from the market. So thank you for your patient listening. These are all the things from the chapter Consumer Protection and also from the whole business studies. Please don't forget to watch the two videos. Already I have uploaded one video and this is the second video from Business Studies Revision. 6 chapters are included in this video. Please share this video with your friends and other friends will be helpful if they are watching this video. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye and all the very best for your board exams.